In November 2017, Italian postgraduate student Vittoria della Molina took a break from her studies at Venice's Ca' Foscari University to visit an Armenian monastery on San Lazzaro degli, a little island in the Venetian lagoon. She notices a sardine in a glass exhibit while exploring the early 18th century structure. A Venice student found a mysterious sword. Hello viewers, welcome to our channel. In this video, we will talk about a student who found an oldest sword. But before we start, make sure to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon for regular updates. Let's get started. Della Molina told Live Science that it was her first time on the island and that she was there for fun, but that the sword she saw would lead to a lot of research. The sword and other things were called medieval, which means they were likely a few hundred years old. However, the young student studied the early Bronze Age, and her thesis was about grave goods from that time. She had looked at royal tombs in Eastern Aegean Anatolia, not in the Caucasus, so I knew right away that she was lying. Ca' Foscari University's February 2020 announcement, Della Molina's master's thesis and PhD research focused on ancient Near Eastern swords. Thus, it was lucky that someone so knowledgeable spotted the sword of the monastery. After fleeing Turkish invaders, the monk Mercator founded a church and convent in Venetian-controlled Greece in 1701. However, wars with Venice forced Mercator to escape again, and the Turks destroyed his Greek church. In 1715, he arrived safely in Venice with 16 of his monks, and in 1717, the Venetians granted the island of San Lazzaro to finally Mercator and his followers had a new home, albeit on a tiny island, and the monks set to work, constructing the main monastery building, establishing the new Armenian center, which involved refurbishing the derelict lepers' chapel, and building a new school because the monks had increased the area of their island haven by a factor of 4. Smithsonian Magazine covered Frances May's 2015 San Lazzaro visit. She broke free of her guides and investigated the monastery, finding mummies, marble busts, rose water liquor, and the monks' 150,000 volumes in glass-fronted cases under paintings depicting church elders reading literature. Lord Byron frequented the island monastery in Venice in 1816. He worked with the monks for 6 months to create an English-Armenian dictionary, and it's said he swam to the island from the city. So that's the island story. November 2017 saw Della Molina. But little did she know that a series of events would be triggered by her visit inside the monastery. Her moment of revelation came when she came across a glass display case containing a variety of objects, and its description stated that they all came from the medieval era. She felt sure that this weapon was much older than just Molina told Live Science. Experts believe this is the world's oldest sword. But was Della Molina's hunch right after all? Her only evidence was the brief sight of the sword in its glass case. If her belief was to be confirmed, there was going to have to be some thorough research. That was the next task, and she set the ball rolling by talking to Professor Eleonorova, Della Molina's PhD supervisor and archaeologist, who gave her student permission to research the origins of this mystic sword. CNN reported that a firearms photo convinced Rova an Armenian monastery's collection had an Anatolian weapon. Della Molina told CNN she had visited the abbey several times but never seen a sword. Molina's revelation that the weapon wasn't medieval was extraordinary, but it was time to find out. The student asked the San Lazzaro monks about the sword because she was right. They told her that their catalog of artifacts did not identify the sword as being from ancient Eastern Anatolia, which neither validated nor contradicted Alarminist theory. Father Serafino, a San Lazzaro monk, informed Della Molina how the sword got to the island monastery. Jim reviewed the archives early and pieced together part of the sword's convoluted odyssey to the island. Jamerlian found in the archives that Yervan Khorasandian, a notable Armenian civil engineer and art and antiquities collector, had presented the sword and other archaeological artifacts to a monk named Givendelishan 150 years earlier. Khorasandian wrote about his time in a Methodist school in Paris, France, where Allison was the principal. Gemerlian considered the donation a thank you to the school that made him. Father Leonzio Allison died at San Lazzaro in 1901, leaving his collection to the monastery. He found a handwritten Armenian note attached to the sword when it was donated, showing that it was found in a Black Sea settlement. The sword now had a story that traced its geographical past from the 19th century to the present, because Kavak was on the site of a historic Greek settlement called Trebizond, today known as Trabzon, in eastern Turkey. Due to its resemblance to 5,000-year-old swords, de la Molina assumed the sword was thousands of years old. De la Molina studied two Near Eastern swords. Researcher uncovered 3000 BC weaponry in our island up to Sivas and in ancient villages in eastern Anatolia, now Turkey. The student thought the San Lazzaro sword resembled the ancient swords, Arslantepe and Sivas. Archaeologists believed the sword was invented in eastern Anatolia, but only the monastery's display cabinet could prove it. Yes, the metal in the weapon would have to be tested chemically. Professor Ivana Angelina of the University of Padua said that the SIBA Archaeological Research Center helped with this laborious task, and that the experts found that the sword was made of an alloy of metals called arsenical copper. This alloy was used by metalworkers about 5,000 years ago, before bronze, which is an alloy of copper and tin, became popular. This was an important piece of proof. After 2 years of examination, scholars conclusively dated the San Lazzaro sword to the late 4th century BC or early 3rd century BC. Archaeologists have only recovered this sword in eastern Anatolia, between the Euphrates River and the Black Sea. Kafaskari University specialists said the sword was part of a ceremonial funeral. Villagers may have segregated and disposed of it with other grave items. Elena Rova, de la Molina's PhD supervisor, explained the San Lazzaro swords. He claimed 2 typological variations of the sword were invented between the northern Caucasus and eastern Anatolia. Rova continued that local chiefs were buried with a lot of weapons and other precious objects to emphasize their status as warriors, and the sword was one of the symbols, so this sword would have adorned the grave of a powerful warrior leader more than 2 millennia ago. The sword now has its own exhibit space at the San Lazzaro Monastery's museum. Gemerlian told CNN that many called in to watch the story, so if Victoria de la Molina hadn't gone to the San Lazzaro Monastery in 2017, they would have. The quick eyes of the young student may have saved archaeology from losing this amazing weapon to obscurity. That's it for today. We hope you guys enjoyed the video. What do you think about this discovery? Tell us in comment section. Please like and share our videos. Don't forget to subscribe our channel and press the bell icon for regular updates.